They didn't wear armor. They didn't carry swords. But they tore through flesh like wildfire through dry fields. In the darkest corners of Rome's forgotten battles, a different kind of soldier was unleashed, four-legged, silent, and born to kill. These weren't just dogs. They were trained weapons of war, sharpened by cruelty, loyalty, and blood. History remembers the generals, the emperors, the conquests. But buried beneath that glory is a story of teeth, fear, and sacrifice. This is the tale of the war dogs of Rome. And one, in particular, who turned the tide of a war, then vanished like a ghost. Before we dive in, if history told through emotion and mystery is your thing, stick around. You won't forget this one. The beast beneath the banner. His name was Vindex, Latin for avenger. Born in the blood-streaked sand outside Carthage, Vindex was no ordinary mastiff. His mother, a gift from a Gallic chieftain. His father, a warhound that had torn through barbarian ranks during Caesar's early campaigns. Vindex was bred for one thing, combat. He didn't grow up chasing sticks. He chased shadows. From 3 months old, he was shackled in a stone pit beneath a Roman training camp, fed raw meat and taught to obey nothing but the sound of the horn and the scent of enemy blood. By the time he was 1 year old, his shoulders were wide as a man's chest, and his bite could crack a femur like dry wood. But his eyes, they weren't wild. They were calm, focused. Like he knew what he was born to do. Vindex wasn't alone. The Romans had an entire unit, canes pugnaces, fighting dogs. Not guard dogs. Not scouts. These were frontline shock units. Released just before impact. Chaos on 4 legs. General Marcellus, a rising star in the Roman military, saw something different in Vindex. While the other dogs bit blindly, Vindex waited. Watched. Chose. He didn't kill for sport. He killed with purpose. Marcellus assigned him a handler, a young Thracian slave named Ilias, captured during a border raid. Thin, scarred, and angry at the world. Ilias hated Rome. Hated the chains. But Vindex. He didn't attack him. Didn't growl. Instead, he sat staring. Like he saw something inside Ilias that no human had ever bothered to look for. In that quiet prison of a camp, something unexpected was born. A bond. Not of owner and beast, but of equals. Survivors. One day, when a senior officer whipped Ilias for disobedience, Vindex lunged. Not at the whip. At the hand holding it. Broke the man's wrist in one brutal snap. Marcellus ordered the dog to be killed. But Ilias stepped forward and said just 3 words. He follows me. Marcellus, amused, let them live. He had no idea what he'd just unleashed. Marcellus assigned him a handler, a young Thracian slave named Ilias, captured during a border raid. Thin, scarred, and angry at the world. Ilias hated Rome. Hated the chains. But Vindex. He didn't attack him. Didn't growl. Instead, he sat staring. Like he saw something inside Ilias that no human had ever bothered to look for. In that quiet prison of a camp, something unexpected was born. A bond. Not of owner and beast, but of equals. Survivors. One day, when a senior officer whipped Ilias for disobedience, Vindex lunged. Not at the whip. At the hand holding it. Broke the man's wrist in one brutal snap. Marcellus ordered the dog to be killed. But Ilias stepped forward and said just 3 words. He follows me. Marcellus, amused, let them live. He had no idea what he'd just unleashed. The silence before the scream. 3 years later. Germania. The forests of the north were a hellscape of fog, mud, and traps. The tribes didn't fight like Romans. They vanished. Reappeared. Struck and faded like ghosts. Rome's legions were bleeding. Morale was collapsing. Then word came. A village deep in the Schwarzwald, rumored to be harboring a tribal warlord who'd killed 6 Roman envoys. Marcellus was ordered to crush it. He brought 2,000 men. And 1 dog. The march was long. Bitter cold gnawed through cloaks. The forest never slept, it whispered. Trees creaked with unseen weight. And at night, men disappeared. Not killed. Taken. Ilias kept close to Vindex, sleeping curled beside him in the frost. Vindex was restless. His hackles always half-raised, like he sensed something none of the others could. When they reached the village, it was wrong. Empty. Too quiet. Smoke rose from chimneys, but no footsteps. No voices. Marcellus ordered a sweep. That's when the screaming began. Traps triggered. Bolts from trees. Pits lined with spikes. The front wave collapsed in moments. Soldiers broke rank, fleeing into woods where more death waited. Then Ilias shouted, "Release him," and Vindex ran. But he didn't run into the fight. He ran through it. He didn't bark. He didn't growl. He hunted. With terrifying precision, Vindex found hiding men, tribal leaders masked in bark and mud, priests chanting in dead languages. He brought them down one by one. And with each kill, the tide shifted. Rome rallied behind the ghost with Fangs. Ilias followed, covered in blood, not knowing whose. His only focus was the dark blur ahead of him, Vindex, silent as death. But then, in the heart of the village, they found the real horror. Children. Dozens. Locked in a cellar. Not prisoners, bait. The tribe had planned this. Let Rome find the kids. Let their hearts soften. Then strike. But Vindex didn't move. He just stared at Ilias. Waiting. And Ilias knew. It was a trap. He threw his spear into the shadows above, and a tribal assassin fell from the beams, stone blade in hand. If not for the dog, none would have survived. That night, as Rome burned the village, Marcellus did something unthinkable. He knelt beside Vindex. Whispered, "You're not a dog. You're a soldier." But peace doesn't last in Rome. Not for slaves. Not for beasts. A week later, Marcellus was poisoned. Ilias was blamed. And Vindex vanished. Months passed. Then years. Rome forgot. The war moved on. New territories. New blood. But in the underbelly of the empire, stories whispered in the sand-slicked darkness of the Colosseum. Of a beast that fought without command. Who wouldn't touch the weak. Who refused to kill unless attacked. They called him Umbra. The Shadow. No one knew where he came from. Or who trained him. But he fought like no animal ever had. And in his eyes was grief. A former soldier recognized him once. Whispered, "That's Vindex." But the guards laughed. That one? He's a ghost. Until one day, a new show was announced. A traitor to Rome would be executed. A slave who'd once turned a dog into a weapon. His name? Ilias. They dragged him into the arena, broken, starved. Then released the beast. Thousands roared. The emperor watched. But something was wrong. The dog didn't charge. He just stood. The two locked eyes. And in that moment, time cracked. Vindex remembered. So did Ilias. But the crowd wanted blood. Whips cracked. Spears flew. Vindex dodged them all, shielding Ilias with his body. That's when Rome saw what real loyalty was. Not trained. Not bought. Earned. The crowd fell silent. Even the emperor stood. Then, a command. Spare them. But the guards panicked. One lunged with a blade aimed at Ilias. Vindex reacted like lightning. And the sword meant for Ilias found him instead. The roar that followed shook the walls. Vindex died with his eyes on Ilias. Not afraid. At peace. You won't find Vindex's name in any Roman scroll. No statue bears his face. No poem honors his loyalty. But in the forgotten corners of history, in the dirt, blood, and bones of an empire, he lived. Fought. Loved. Not as a beast. But as a brother. If this story moved you, share it. Not for the views, but for the voiceless warriors who history buried. Because sometimes, the fiercest soldiers walk on four legs.